Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to WandrinDutch. Today I was in a mood to do a Halo Infinite gameplay breakdown. So you've been seeing a lot of flack for Halo Infinite over the last few hours since this evening. A lot of people thinking it's been downgraded. A lot of people, I think, wearing some red, green, blue tinted glasses. I can understand some die-hard Halo fans being a little bit maybe disappointed about graphical elements that they're not too happy about, but I think one thing we can all be confident about is that the physical gameplay, the technical standpoints of the game, the feel of the game is very much traditional Halo again, with a lot of additional elements. So I hope you'll join me here as we do a little bit more of a breakdown of the actual gameplay from Halo. Showing off. Let's get right to it. Just change it to 4K first, shall we? There we go. Now again, what you'll see here is a breakdown, specifically a breakdown. We'll turn the volume down. I don't know whether or not you can hear that, but there we go. Specifically a breakdown of the gameplay, campaign gameplay, which we later found out was an early developer's build. Even if you go, this is clearly in game as we stand there, but back there. Let's just rewind quickly here. Have a look really of the additional fidelity they've got in the texture work. If you have a look near his collar there, where his part of his jacket is, the depth of the texture. Again, if you have a look at the kind of facial details there, the hair details, the amount of hair again in his beard, and very thick individual hair. Again, very detailed. Let's go back into it there. If you see again when some of the lighting goes off there, going into a little bit more detail here, but some of the lighting flashes off when he's getting shot at here. You can kind of see that around his face, all the illumination and the dimples and everything in the skin tone. This is in game. This is, as much as this looks like, again, engine trailer. This isn't just an engine trailer. This is in game. Again, you'll see more of the details as we go through into the next section. Master Chief's armor, extremely high detailed there. Again, all the details, the little scratches, the scuff marks. What we do know is, again, on these videos, I'm not saying the HDR implementation. HDR, of course, is such a big change if done correctly when you implement it into a game, and I think HDR is going to make this pop again. Obviously, this does not have ray tracing shown in it either, but does have global illumination. And you can see again in the background of this section here the particle effects, and again global illumination and things like that. Very detailed. Again, the detail on the texture of that character's skin, highly detailed. The Master Chief looks amazing. The armor from top to bottom looks really, really good. Going back to the Mjolnir armor set with the grappling hook, of course, you can see there on his armor. A little bit more detail I would expect from the patchwork on his arm there. We can see kind of that going blurry and then getting a little bit more detailed there. These are things that can be ironed out. Again, one of the biggest worries that people had was that it needs to be ironed. Obviously, it doesn't look crisp and clear yet. I think it certainly looks crisp, but there's a lot to be ironed out. One of my key takeaways from this is if you were wearing headphones during this presentation, the ambience, the actual noise, the sounds, the living, breathing world. You can hear the birds flying and tweeting above. You can hear the scuttling of all the rabbits and the life underneath. These are all random events as well that are going on there, which is you've never had really in a Halo. That ship would usually just land right beside you, drop some people off and fly away, but it isn't in this occasion. This one's just going about its business. It's doing what it needs to do. Tire deformation there a little bit, but not much. We know that this wasn't shown back on Series X. This was actually footage from PC, early developer footage from PC. I don't know whether or not it was alpha footage. I don't think it's alpha footage. I think that maybe it's a little bit further on than that. But I think the scope of the world as well needs to be kind of taken into account there. You've still got blades of grass getting kicked up. You've still got the mud getting kicked up there. Again, the scale of the world's never been done to this extent in a Halo before. It's back to its roots. Now, the character details again there. These people can mock and make fun of Halo characters as much as they want, but this isn't a realistic world. You're fighting aliens. If they had an alien texture to go by that was realistic, then fair enough, then feel free to mock, but these are aliens. End of the day, the design matters not. You can put unbelievable amounts of detail into aliens if you want, but I think, to me, the takeaway part there is that all of the armor kind of breaks away in separate segments. If you notice, his armor's coming off in little sections there. It's the little details that people are missing. Granted, there's a lot of polish work to be done before release, but they've got months before release, and this was an earlier build, so I'm guaranteeing there's going to be further implementations and things like that before the game is further released. I can't stress enough that people are judging trailers, not just Halo, but in general, judging trailers far too much on the merits as what they're going to get at final release. That is never the case. Things always change all the way up until release day. When you get that initial day one patch that fixes bugs, corrects issues, corrects pop-ins, corrects everything like that, you're going to get that all the way up until the very end. I'm just going to do a quick run through here of the full trailer as we're speaking, just to kind of, so you can get a better understanding as just the game in flow, and then I'll kind of click and stop in certain sections to kind of detail things. Again, I can't stress enough, games like this, there's another mechanic, of course. You've got the one that was put afterwards. It's quite an amusing one. Not a mechanic that you'll know, but certainly a mechanic the enemy will know. The grappling hook for yourself is going to come in very handy, of course, not only for getting around the map for the traversal, but also for picking objects up, for pulling smaller enemies towards you or you towards smaller enemies, for throwing things at enemies. Again, this is the traversal section here. Personally, I think the enemies look fine. They look no different to what we've seen before. You kill that many enemies in Halo anyway that you don't really take the opportunity to really get that close to them. Again, that's something I think will be ironed out anyway, a little bit more texture detail and things like that the closer we get to launch. But there's so many of these enemies, and especially at some sections, you get so many of these enemies on screen at any one point, floating around, throwing things, particle effects blowing up, and such a varied and large world now. It's far different to anything that's really been kind of shown before. Halo's always been that way. It's always been standing on its own 2 feet. It is a first-person shooter, but it's very much has its own rights. It's got a massive. It's the largest one of the largest gaming franchises in the world, and that's obviously apparent. Again, like I say, even though this is an earlier build, you can see the kind of detail that goes into some of the work around here. The global illumination, that's kind of going on there. The particle effects, of course, with the clouds and everything like that. I mean, really, if you're breaking it down correctly, again, things like wiping the ice off the glass there to see Master Chief. Again, that was more in engine as opposed to in game. A lot of this is more in game as we speak, though. That's again in game again. You'll never really see Chief in that particular light unless you've seen him in a cutscene. But what you tend to find with all of these cutscenes with Halo is that the vast majority are in-game models used in these cutscenes. So it's no different. You can zoom in with a sniper rifle and you'll see the same amount of detail as you would in these cutscenes, so I've got no issues there. Enemy design, I think people are going over the top with. Personally, that's just a personal opinion. Zooming into them, you can zoom into all the previous Halos. The enemy designs have never been, excluding the futuristic kind of enemies that were shown more in Halo 5. If you go back to 4, 3, 2, 1, if you zoomed into all the enemies there, they all look like this. They're brutes. They're brutes. End of the day, there's nothing. You've got no reference to go against when you're talking about how to design these things. These things are created from scratch. Personally, I like the detail on them. I like this rousing speech that this guy's got here as well, to be honest. Essentially looking forward to this major big battle with Master Chief. So we'll go back there. We'll kick back into this section here that I was mentioning. Okay, have a look at the detail there on Chief's armor with all the scuff marks, scratches. Very crisp, very clean. Again, this is a 4K video I'm watching back here. You'll be able to do the same as well. It's uploaded on the Xbox channel. Everything's going to be a little bit more refined come launch day. I fully expect to have patched this out or ironed this out by then, to be honest. Gameplay-wise, I have absolutely no issues with the gameplay. The gameplay looked smooth, fast. It's exactly what I come to expect from a Halo. New weapons, new mechanics, but all still very much Halo. Of course, we're used to him bringing up his shield and things like that. But of course, now you've got the ability to just throw a plasma shield kind of down in front of you there, which becomes very handy. A new automatic rifle, new pistol, grappling hook. Of course, these boxes you can throw around now using your grappling hook. These new weird plasma machine gun that you've seen before with a red plasma that was coming out of it. From a gameplay standpoint, absolutely no issues with it whatsoever. If we just forward through to the transition, I love this transition here, where it goes straight in there. If we have a look here, here we go. Straight from video. Go back here. There we go. Gameplay, straight into gameplay. Boom. There we go. Again, the ambience of the noise, you won't be able to hear it on here, but the ambience of everything that's going on. God knows what these creatures are. They're clearly not rabbits or anything like that. Obviously, obviously creatures from the ring. Nonetheless, it's the act of them moving with you, they're moving away from you. Very much kind of going with everything that's going on. Again, to me, you can slightly tell this is an earlier build anyway. You can see there's certain things that I know that they would have included, at least by now anyway, which is a little bit more detail on the water effects, especially when you're taking vehicles through. Expect a little bit of kind of wind deformation. You've got a little bit there, but not much. You'll see what I mean here about water. And of course, the deformation on the tires there. Expect that to be refined a little bit more come launch. Again, the sounds and things disturbing the birds. It's a little details that people have to pay attention to, in my opinion. This large open map, again, we have to stress. Halo's never done this before, objective-based open world. The positive that comes out of this game is that they are trying new things. You're going to get sections of the map, which you can see around here, that look bland, this initial section. What people have to remember is that Halo is the Halo rings are not natural. These are not natural places. These are very much alien surfaces. This is not a natural ground. This is not a natural source. This isn't an actual planet. So one thing you have to pay attention to, and if you've known Halo as a source all the way through, is that these walls are going to look very uniformed, especially on the builds up here. You get into the ground sections around here, it's going to look very much Earth-like. You're going to see the sky, which looks very much Earth-like. But then you're going to see sections that are very much alien-like, very uniformed cliff edges, very uniformed sections here, and all of these archways and things like that. You're going to see alien structures. You're going to see things like that. There's going to be sections that look out of place, but it isn't a human planet. It isn't a planet at all. It's the Halo ring. Sections of it are blown apart entirely. You're going to see characters that look funny. You're going to be seeing characters that look great. You're going to see bosses that look amazing. You're going to see bosses that look terrible. But every game has those, unfortunately. It is what it is. It's not going to affect the gameplay, and I think people need to remember that gameplay is king. The graphics will be ironed out. If anybody's got queries or issues with graphics in this day and age, especially with the capabilities of these developers, personally, it's a point of opinion, but I think the game looks great. I know it's going to get polished. I know it's going to have additional features that will make the game pop even more as it comes out. I know seeing a game is one thing, but playing the game is entirely different. Playing this game on my 4K telly at 60 frames, HDR, with the eventual ray tracing patch, following launch, you might even get it just at launch. Might be a patch at launch that includes that. We don't know yet. We'll find out. But as I discussed in my previous video and with the breakdown of the entire conference, I'd rather they did HDR and ray tracing to its fullest extent than get what we had this generation, last generation, where HDR was implemented in certain games and it was very much half-baked. I don't want a half-baked version of ray tracing or HDR in this game. If it's going to be done, then I'd rather it done correctly. And if we have to wait another week or two following launch to get that HDR and ray tracing patch, then so be it. If those features are going to be done to the highest extent. I think people are very spoiled these days with the abundance of games and quality of games that they're getting. If you have a look at the amount of games that have came out over the last few years compared to what we've used to have in the past, especially the level of detail, the craftsmanship, the work, the soundtrack, the ambience, the technical craftsmanship that goes into these games these days is above and beyond anything we've had in the previous decade before that, the previous 5 years even. The jump in quality that we've had has been substantial over a short period of time. There is no industry in this world that has had such a jump in quality that the gaming industry has had from now to 20 years prior. There is absolutely no industry in the world that has had the jump in quality. Movies are exactly the same. They have not jumped in quality-wise. They haven't jumped to the same extent as the gaming industry has. If you go to space travel, if anything, we've went backwards. We might be going further, but man hasn't. That hasn't jumped in any extent. If you go into transport, that hasn't jumped to any extent. We've actually, again, went back. We used to have hypersonic speeds. We used to be able to travel at supersonic. Speed of sound, 1,000 miles an hour on a public transport passenger plane. That we've went back from that now. We don't. It's not something we do. We've actually went back more to look at efficiency than breaking the speed of sound. So instead of going faster, we're doing things better but slower. I think the gaming industry, if you have a look at that as an analogy, from where we've come, if you go back 20 years and have a look at a game that was released 20 years ago to a game that is being developed now, the jump in quality, level of detail, technical ability for these developers, what you're getting in terms of content, the length of these games, the voice acting, the sound technology, and all of the technical aspects that goes into the hardware in the gaming sector. We're a spoiled section of people, and I think that needs to be taken on board. What we've had and what we've been given is, as a community and as gaming fans, over the last 20 years, the jump in quality and the sheer effort by all developers on all platforms needs to be recognized. I think developers are getting far too much stick these days for corporate mistakes or corporate decisions well above their pay grade. Developers are doing the best they can, given the best tools that they can, and they're proud of the work that they're doing. I understand when people get frustrated on things showing off, but let's face it, gaming is a privilege. It's a hobby. It's something we love, something we do to escape. Let's not take away from that. Enjoy games. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to love something different. Everyone's going to hate something. But it's an opinion. What you might hate might be someone else's game of the year. What might be your game of the year, someone else might hate. Doesn't mean either game is bad as an overall experience. Everyone has their preferences. Remember that. That's my input for today. Overall, look forward to Halo Infinite. Look forward to the new direction that they're going in, or should I say, the direction that's more akin to the original Master Chief Halos 1 to 4. Look forward to seeing what's coming, what's being developed. Give the developers positive criticisms. If you're wanting something to improve, ask for it in a positive way. Don't go out and call things trash or anything, because that's not going to benefit anybody. That's not going to help or steer anybody in the right direction. If you want to help the gaming community or help the developers realize what it is they need to do to make things better for their community, to give them positive criticisms. If you're concerned about something, ask about it. Don't shout about it like a little baby. Be kind. That's all for me today anyway. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me on Twitter, on YouTube, like and subscribe. WandrinDutch on Xbox Live. GoesseN on PSN, switch code PSN, and everything will be highlighted below. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'll be on Boomstick's podcast on Monday night, so look forward to that. Come and join us. It'll be interesting, again, to talk about some of the topics from the fallout of the Xbox Game Show. I look forward to seeing you there. Until then, goodbye. Take care. Like, subscribe. Happy gaming and happy weekend. Bye.